I'm Yoram Solomon, and this is the Book of Trust. Selling on trust and not on price. A few years ago, my wife wanted to remodel our kitchen. We conducted our online research and decided to call one of the well-known brands to come and give us a proposal. I estimated that the cost of the project would be between $10,000 and $15,000. A salesperson came in and first wanted to make sure that both decision makers were in the house. He showed us the materials and colors to make sure that there was a combination that we liked before even taking the first measurement. He then showed us different designs to make sure that there was a design that we liked. So it appeared that he wasn't going to be wasting his time with us. He then spent the next 20 or so minutes taking measurements. Then he sat by his wirelessly connected laptop and typed out the storm. We stayed out of his way as he did so. Finally, he called us and was ready to share. He started by describing the process, the warranty, the installer's qualifications, quality of the materials, and other detail. We expected to hear the price, but he wanted to first ask the following questions. Did we see a color that we liked? Did we see a design that we liked? Did we like the installation process that he described to us? Did we like the quality of the materials as he described them? Did we like the warranty that he offered? And did we like the qualifications of their installers as he described them? After saying yes to each one of those questions, he asked the final question. Other than price, is there any reason why you wouldn't place an order for this remodeling project today, other than price? It was a brilliant question, I thought to myself. You see, first he made us say yes multiple times. We got used to saying yes to him. Many best-selling books or sales books teach you how to get as many yeses as possible to finally obtain the final yes and the order. Now, what would have happened if he told us what the price was and it was too high for us? Naturally, I wouldn't want to say that the price was too high for any one of the following two reasons, or both of them. One, I'm obviously stupid and don't know how much a project like this should cost. Or two, I'm either cheap or just not making enough money to pay for a project like this. You don't want to admit to any of those. So, what do? You tell him that you are not 100% sure about the color anymore, or maybe the design, or anything else. You need to think about it some more. You'll call him back. But with that brilliant question, he took away my ability to give any other answer than either placing the order or telling him that the price was too high, therefore admitting that I was both stupid and cheap, neither one of which anyone wants to admit to. He then told us that the average remodeling project cost approximately $44,000, but that a project like ours would cost more like $27,000. His company is known to help the customers out, and if we had ordered that day, we would only pay $17,976. To his surprise, I told him that $18,000 was much more than I thought it would be, and we couldn't afford it. Before he got to play the stupid or not making enough money card, I preempted him and admitted to both. However, I said, I noticed how skillful you were with that laptop, so why don't you click on it for another 20 minutes or so and find how you can do that for $12,000. First, he looked dumbfounded. But quickly he decided to go back to his laptop and less than 20 minutes later came back with a proposal for the same project at $12,974. He offered the same materials, same design, same schedule. Nothing was different than what he had offered for $17,976. We closed the deal and we got our kitchen remodeled. Inspired by Dan Ariely's book Predictably Irrational, my daughter Maya had conducted an experiment in middle school. She asked more than 100 participants, the control group, the following question. If Facebook's subscription would cost $5 a month for mobile access only and $10 a month for both mobile and computer access, which would you choose? She didn't give an option to drop Facebook altogether. 61% of the participants in the control group chose $5 for mobile-only access, and 39% were willing to pay $10 for mobile and computer access. For the test group, another 100 or so participants, she offered a third option, $10, but for computer access only. Let me be clear, for $10 you could either get Facebook access on your computer only or on both your computer and mobile phone. Can you imagine anyone paying $10 to get computer-only access when, for the same price, you could get access to both your computer and mobile phone? No. Sure enough, nobody chose that option. However, the dynamics between those two $10 options changed as a result of this option. Only 47%, down from 61%, now chose the $5 mobile-only option, while 53%, up from 39%, chose the $10 computer and mobile option. She turned from 22% more mobile choosing access on their phone, only then choosing access on phone and computer, to 6% more choosing phone and computer access than choosing phone-only access. All because of the existence of a third option, which nobody chose. This is behavioral economics at its best. If you are a salesperson or a marketing professional, you are likely trained on these methods to get someone to say yes, whether they see the value or not. You learn how to trick people into making a decision that they otherwise wouldn't, and how to manipulate the buying decision process. And if you expect this book to do the same, I must disappoint you. I believe that consumers are learning to ignore these tricks. Salespeople use them so frequently that consumers became desensitized to them. And as time goes by, they become more and more influenced by one thing: the trustworthiness of the salesperson trying to sell us something. Let me take you back to my 2018 Most Important Quality study. Trustworthiness ranked as the most important quality 61.12% of the time. But for what type of person did trustworthiness rank the highest? Salespeople. Survey participants told me that trustworthiness was the most important quality for them in salespeople coming to sell to them 77.4% of the time. The next quality, intelligence, was the most important quality in salespeople only 13.3% of the time. 3 out of 4 participants, when asked about the most important quality in a salesperson, someone that they will see once in their lifetime, said that the most important quality for them in that salesperson was trustworthiness. So I decided to see if the participants were willing to put their money where their mouth is. And I started a second study. In my second study, I presented the participants with a scenario in which they wanted to purchase a home renovation project estimated to cost just about $10,000, kind of close to the price that I paid for my kitchen remodeling. After some thorough online research, they narrowed the possible contractors down to 2 companies and invited both of them to bid on the job. Within the first 20 minutes, they realized that one of the salespeople was very trustworthy. This book will show you what made this salesperson be perceived as so much more trustworthy, while the other was the opposite. After both salespeople assessed the job to be done, they gave proposals. Both proposals were exactly the same for $10,000. Which one would you choose? The trustworthy one or the less trustworthy one? You'll be surprised how many people I asked through this thought that this was a trick question. Of course, you will choose the proposal from the trustworthy salesperson. That was the answer given by 100% of the participants in this stage of the study. This reminded me of a joke. 2 friends were being chased by a bear in the forest. As the bear was closing the distance to them, one of them stopped to put on his running shoes. His friend started laughing at him and asked sarcastically, "Do you think you can outrun a bear with those running shoes?" The first friend looked at him and without missing a beat replied, "I don't have to outrun a bear. I only have to outrun you." You see, being a trustworthy salesperson means that when you are up against an equal offer from a less trustworthy competitor, you get the sale 100% of the time, while your competitor doesn't. But I wanted to stretch this further. Remember, I wanted to see if participants were willing to put their money where their mouths were. So I asked the participants, who would they choose if the trustworthy salesperson asked for a 10% higher price, specifically $11,000 versus $10,000? I gave the participants 4 options now. The trustworthy person with the more expensive proposal, the cheaper proposal from the less trustworthy salesperson, not sure anymore, or neither one. What would you do? Well, 100% of the participants still chose the trustworthy salesperson over the cheaper proposal from an untrustworthy salesperson. I realized that there are 4 major factors that played a role in making that decision. 1, the percentage of income that the price, here $10,000, represents. Is it 1% of your income because you're making, $1 million? Or is it more or all of your income? The complexity versus the manageability of the overall project. Can you manage it yourself? Can you oversee how it's being done and make sure it's being done right? 3, the consequences of making the wrong decision. Would you prefer cheap over trustworthy if the project was actually to conduct brain surgery on your child? And 4, is it an ongoing relationship? We're typically willing to pay a premium for trustworthiness if we know that this is an ongoing relationship as opposed to a one-time deal. So then I asked, how many would be willing to choose the proposal from the trustworthy salesperson over the cheap proposal if the trustworthy salesperson was now asking 20% higher price? The results started declining from 100%, but as many as 58.2% of the participants remained committed to select the proposal from the trustworthy salesperson. But of the remainder, 32.7% said they didn't know anymore, albeit not willing to outright select the cheaper proposal or give up on the entire project altogether. A little over 7% decided to order the cheaper project, and less than 2% decided not to pursue the project anymore. When I raised the price by 50% from the trustworthy salesperson, $15,000 compared to $10,000 from the other, only 21.8% still chose the trustworthy salesperson, while 38.2% remained undecided between the two, less than 15% chose the cheaper proposal, and 25% decided to drop the project altogether. What does it mean? When calculating those percentages, I reached a very simple quantitative conclusion. A trustworthy salesperson can sell the same product or service for a 29.6% higher price. This is a very powerful statement. However, let me ask you something. As a salesperson or a business owner, how much do you dread discounting your prices just to compete with another proposal? So let me rephrase the previous statement on the negative side. If you're selling against a trustworthy salesperson, you may need to discount your price by 22.8%. More painful, isn't it? The results of our 2018 study were later reinforced by a report published by the consulting firm Accenture, which stated that 8 out of 10 executives cite trust as the major driver of customer business, and lack of trust as a reason why customers defect to a trusted competitor. And that Salesforce's perceived as trusted partners reached higher quotas attainment by a factor of 25%. In another study, the firm made the following bold statement: 54% of companies on the Accenture Strategy Competitive Agility Index experience a material drop in trust and conservatively lost out on $180 billion in revenue. In more general terms, trust, or lack thereof, has a significant effect on business beyond sales. In my 2018 Innovation Culture and Trust Survey, I correlated the answers to the questions: how innovative would you say your company, organization, or business is, and how productive would you say your company, organization, or business is, to the answers to the questions, how much do you trust your peer and how much do you trust your boss? The results showed a 64% correlation for both innovation and productivity. In other words, organizations that report higher levels of trust also report 64% higher levels of innovation and productivity. In a 2017 Harvard Business Review article, neuroscientist and Claremont Graduate University professor Paul Zak summarized multiple studies in the following paragraph. He said, compared with people at low trust companies, people at high trust companies report 74% less stress, 106% more energy at work, 50% higher productivity, 13% fewer sick days, 76% more engagement, 29% more satisfaction with their lives, 40% less burnout. Finally, a 2002 study done by the Watson Wyatt surveying 12,750 employees showed that the total shareholder return, as measured as a combination of stock price and dividends, was 286% higher in high trust organizations than in low trust organization. And a 2005 study by the Russell Investment Group showed that the Fortune magazine's 100 best companies to work for, where trust comprises 60% of the criteria and is the primary defining characteristic, earned over 4 times the returns of the broader market over the prior 7 years. Given those statistics, what would be the value of increasing the level of trust in your organization by 10%? Imagine measuring a trust on a 10-point scale. Your company may not be the worst. In fact, it may rank relatively good with a solid, let's say, 7.3 score. What could it achieve by raising the trust score from 7.3 to 8.3? Your employees will experience 7.4% less stress, 10.6% higher energy, 5% higher productivity, 1.3% fewer sick days, 7.6% higher engagement, 2.9% higher job satisfaction, and 4% less burnout. Your company will be 6.4% more productive and more innovative. Your shareholder returns would be between 28.6% and 30% higher than the market average. Can I presume that you find all those desirable? And you get all of this for increasing the level of trust in the company by only 1 point on a 10-point scale.